Hi everybody, this is Victoria. Welcome back to another new episode of Discovering Art Together, and today we are going to learn more anatomy and specifically the chest muscles and abdominal muscles and a little bit of the neck muscles, and we are going to learn it from Michelangelo's beautiful and very popular and famous sculpture, David. So we're going to go ahead and jump into and take a look and see if we can map out all the muscles of the chest, the abdominal muscles, and also a bit of the neck muscles in Michelangelo's sculpture. And that way we can kind of practice a little bit and also learn how the muscles are placed and how to find them. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. So let's start a little bit from the top to the bottom though. So we're gonna start with the chest muscles first, and then we're gonna go into abdominal muscles and the neck muscles. There might be a little bit of mix of other muscles. It's just anything that we can actually see on David in this particular perspective and view. Okay, so first we're gonna start with the chest muscles. So let's go ahead and take a look at David's chest and kind of discover what is this muscle called. So the main muscle that we see for the chest is called the Pectoralis Major. So Pectoralis Major is actually broken down into three main groups of muscles. So we have the clavicular head, which is the very top part of the Pectoralis Major. And then we also have the largest head, which is called the sternal or sternocostal head. And this muscle over here moves the arm backwards. So basically it would kind of extend and stretch your arms backwards like this. So a lot of the, if you kind of see when swimmers, when they swim and all that stuff, so that's one of the main muscles that we use in order to do that movement. The clavicular head over here moves the arms up. It will raise our arms up by lifting the humerus. And the last part is the abdominal head, or we also could call this the costal head. And this one works in a similar way as the Latissimus Dorsi, which we'll get into a little bit later, but just kind of mentioning a little bit of what the Latissimus Dorsi does is that it kind of lowers the arm down and then also kind of extends and helps the arms goes backwards, so it kind of works together with the sternal head of the Pectoralis Major. And it also sometimes rotates our arms inwards. So if we have that, so it will rotate it inwards. Okay, so now we're done with our Pectoralis Major. That's our main muscle there. We do have another muscle right underneath it, which is more on the deeper side. It's not a superficial muscle, which superficial means a muscle that's on the outer side, that's visible through the skin. So we have the Pectoralis Minor. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because Pectoralis Major is right on top of the Pectoralis Minor, and the Pectoralis Minor it connects to the top three ribs, and we kind of notice that it does a similar function as the Pectoralis Major's sternocostal head, which is basically moving the arm back and also raises the arm down. So same thing as the abdominal head or the costal head. So now we got that, and as you notice, the deltoid is very close to the Pectoralis Major, so the deltoid actually overlaps the Pectoralis Major, so that's how they layer the muscles, because since the Pectoralis Major is attached to our humerus, which is the large bone of our upper arm over here, that's why you see the deltoid kind of overlap and the pectoralis major is tucked under that muscle. Another thing that I want to mention too is that, as you can see, there's this very obvious spacing. I don't know if you guys noticed, spacing is called the infraclavicular fossa. So this spacing, or this indentation below the clavicle and in between the deltoid and the clavicular head of the pectoralis major, there's this spacing there. So that's why we always see this indentation on the shoulder, which is really close to your clavicle, aka known as your collarbone. And also do make sure that there is a spacing between the two pectoralis major muscles, because we have our sternum, which is basically the central bone that kind of attaches and connects our ribs together. And that part is really important. So the muscles aren't attached to each other, it's actually connected to the sternum. Okay, so now we got the chest muscles learned and discovered, and it kind of a little bit explained. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the abdominal muscles. So let's go ahead and move down. First, what we wanna do here is that we have some of the side muscles that I wanted to mention. We have on the very side, which is very tilted towards the back, this is actually a back muscle. It actually wraps around all the way until it attaches to the humerus. So this one is technically that very large bottom half of the back muscle. It has like a triangular shape, and this muscle wraps around and it's somewhat visible on the sides, even though from the front view. And this muscle's main function is lowering the arms down, extends the arms backwards, and also rotating the arms inwards. Now, right beside it, we have our serratus anterior. Serratus anterior connects from the 1st to 9th rib, or sometimes 1st to 8th rib, and it attaches to the end of the scapula, which is known as our shoulder blade. This muscle helps us raise our arms up all the way 90 degrees, all the way to the top part, and also helping us pull our scapula up. So when we have this movement going upwards, it's pulling our scapula upwards. And right below it, now we have a muscle that's kind of going in the opposite direction, which is called the external oblique. So the external oblique originates off of the bottom 8 ribs, and it connects to the abdominal aponeurosis, which is this white tendon that's in between the rectus abdominis, which we'll talk about very soon later. So there is this like white tendon that connects to that, so that it doesn't connect directly with the rectus abdominis. And the external oblique's main function over here is to mostly twist our torso. So it would help us twist from left to right. It would also help us lean from side to side as well. And then it would also help us bend forwards and pick up things when we kind of activate and pull on both muscles at the same time. So you would bend downwards, pick the stuff up you dropped, and you're good to go. You have used your external oblique. Now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the rectus abdominis, which is also known as our six-pack and our abs. Abs is short for abdominis, so kind of see how things relate. So the rectus abdominis originates from the pubic crest until it attaches to the anterior costal cartilage of the 5th, 6th, and 7th rib. This muscle helps us flex and squeeze our abdominal rectus. So if you were to do sit-ups, for example, or if you were to do, if you want to lift your legs up, so if you were flat on the floor and you're lifting your legs up, you are using your rectus abdominis, and that's what helps us train to gain abs, is that you're flexing and you're doing crunches, you're doing sit-ups, and that's what the rectus abdominis does. And that's pretty much for our abdominal muscles. Let's go ahead and head up all the way to the top, and we're going to take a look at some of our neck muscles. So first, we're gonna start with that most obvious neck muscles that we do see quite visibly for a lot of people, mostly if you have not as much fat around your neck, which is called the sternocleidomastoides, or the sternocleidomastoid for short. And what this muscle does is that it helps you rotate your head to the opposite side by pulling it the opposite direction, and also flexing the head forwards to when both of them are getting pulled. So it goes, rotates, and bends this way. Now the sternocleidomastoid is actually connected to the mastoid process of the skull at the top, and it originates from the top of the sternum and medial third of the clavicle. So it's really close to that center part. So that's why we have this really strong muscle that goes all the way down. And as you can see, we have another muscle that's right beside it, which is basically this top part of our shoulders, not the deltoid, but a little bit higher. And that one is called the trapezius. The trapezius function is basically when you shrug your shoulders, you're like, so that's what the trapezius does. So when you're shrugging, basically what it does is that this muscle is pulling up your scapula, your shoulder blade. And there you go, we got all our muscles, our chest muscles, our abdominal muscles, and a little bit of our neck muscles. So I hope you guys enjoyed this brand new episode of chest muscles, abdominal muscles, and neck muscles by taking a look at Michelangelo's David sculpture. And hopefully you kind of learn some of the muscles and the muscle placements, and also learning their functions and what do they do. Feel free to kind of check out more different sculptures and just kind of see if you can actually locate the different muscles and also the placement of the muscles and remembering what each muscle does, so the function of the muscle. And here is a mini exercise for you guys. I want you guys to go search a Roman sculpture or Greek sculpture, whichever it is, and try to see if you can actually draw out the muscles that you see for the chest area, abdominal muscles, and also a little bit of the neck muscles. And if you want to have a little bit more practice, you can also try to figure out the arm muscles. From my previous episode, you can take a look at some of the arm muscles that I mentioned and also the placements and functions of it, so you can also practice that and see if you can actually map everything out. And that is all today, so I hope you guys enjoyed this brand new episode, and I shall catch you guys next time with another new episode, and hopefully we're going to learn a little bit more different muscles, maybe the back, maybe the leg muscles. We'll see what we're going to do, but stay tuned for the next episode, and happy practicing, and I hope you guys learned some new stuff from this mini anatomy video and anatomy class. So take care, guys. See you next time, and stay creative and have fun with your anatomy. Take care. Bye. Thank you.